Hi everybody, welcome to Backbenchers. Continuing to my previous video about the data types available in Python, today we will be looking into data types like int and float, how they are used and how do we use the different functions that are available for int and a float. Just like any other programming languages, int and float are the data types that are help us to represent the numbers. For example, if you want to assign a number, a variable called num with the value 3, and you want to know what data type that it will be assigned, you can use the print function and then type with the number. So once you have that one, you see it will return as a class int. And if you want that number type to be float, you just add any decimal numbers and you will get as a float. See, you can see that class int and a float are the two data types that help us to represent the numbers in Python. Whereas int will only take whole numbers, whereas the float will take as a decimal point variables as well. Now coming to the various operations that are available for numbers in Python, that here you can see we have a different operations that are available for int and a float. You can see the additions, subtractions, multiplication, division, floor divisions, exponent, as well as modules. Okay, let us start each operation one by one so that you understand much deeper. Now take a variable called num and assign it to a value 1. All right, and assign as a number 1. Now take another variable called num2 and assign this to 2. Now we will add a addition numbers, number 1 plus number 2. You will get a 3. See, you can see that it returned a 3. Now if you want that to be subtraction, you will see, let's see what does this return. It's a -1 because number 1 is 1 and number 2 is bigger, so 1 minus 2 will return as a -1. And coming to the multiplications, as it is, it will give us 2. 1 into 2, 2. Same as for the division, I believe it return as a 0 or my 0.5. Yes, this is how in a division it will exactly divide that value into 2. Now coming to, now let us assign number 1 to a bigger one and then see what does the division returns to us. It returns as 1.5. Now coming to the floor division, in the floor division what does it do? That it divisions without any decimals. In this case, if I want to have a floor division and then see it written as a 1, means it just truncates the decimal value 0.5 in a floor division, whereas in a division it divides exactly and then returns a value. For example, you may be wondering what does this divide for a pi value. Let's say 22 by 7. Let's say what does it return? 3, because we are using a floor division. For a normal division, this should be 3.14. That's what it returns 3. This is the pi value. So it will try to divide exactly as per the documentation. Now coming to the exponent. Exponents are mostly used for squaring a number or increasing it to cube or a quadruple value. So in this case, let us use 3 square. And then see what does this return. Obviously it will return as 9. Now you want to let us see what does this return if you have a triple quote, because it's the function is unavailable. Now if you want to raise the exponent of 3 to 10 times, it's still written as a value. Say 59049 is a value that is 3 raised to the power of 10, it just returns a value. In our case, the best example will be 2 raised to the power of 10 written as 1024. You can still search that one, say 1024. This is how the exponent functions helps us in doing a scientific calculation uh, in Python. So keep this in mind, where we will be discussing more on scientific calculation using NumPy and SciPy, that where these exponential related functions are most helpful us. And coming to the modulus, it will return as a reminder. So in this case, let's say number 1 is a 3 and number 2 is 2. So the modulus will return as 1. See, it just returns as a reminder. The most pretty use of this modulus is if you want to know the number of odd numbers and even numbers available between a range of numbers, modulus operators will help us the most. And another inbuilt functions for the integer and float are absolute and round off. Let's say for absolute value, irrespective of its sign, it just written as a value. In this case, let us use absolute value with -1, or let's say -3. So the absolute value is written as 3. Irrespective of any sign, it just returns as 3. And coming to the round function, what does this round do is that if you have a number, let's say below 250, it will try to return as a 3 because it's trying to round off to the nearest number. So nearest number to 3.25 would be 3. And if it is above 5, it will return us to the nearest number 4. However, it also acts as one more parameter where you can see to what level. You can see n digits, round a number to a given precision in decimal digit. If you want to round off to the one digit next to it, you can use a 1 number and then see it will return 3.8 for us. Exactly. So if let's check what does this return. If it is a 3.5, I believe it returns to 4 only. Yes. So anything 3.5 and above, it just returns to 4. And if you want that to be nearest precision point, it will return 3.6, 3.5 only. Yes. Okay. This is how the inbuilt functions, absolutes and roundoff are used. Now, the good thing in the Python programming language is that you can add the integers and float numbers as well. Just let us consider you have a number as number 1 as 3 and number 2 as 2.5, and you want to add them. Still you can see that 5.5. Unlike in other programming languages where you want to cast the float to int or convert the int to float and then add those numbers, in Python you can directly add any complex numbers using addition operator. However, let's say if a number is represented in a string format like this, and you're trying to add them, the Python interpreter still treats them as a strings and try to concatenate them. I discussed in the previous video where the string data types are explained in detail. They are still used represented as a string because they are within a single quotes, and Python interpreter takes them as a string and try to concatenate them. In order to convert that string value to int, you can use the int function. Let's say int, and try to use this int as well, and then see. Alright, because 2.5 isn't an int, so it doesn't convert, so we will have a float. So we will learn most of the things by mistakes only. So learning any programming languages is not pretty hard, but it is all about how do we use the respective data types and how do we achieve what we want. So in this case, in earlier one, I used a int and it throws as an exception since 2.5 is not an int. because it falls under the class of float. Now when I try to convert that to the float, it automatically converted and the addition has successfully has happened. So this is how I recommend that whenever you do any programming languages, you learn more by mistake. So until unless you won't do any hands-on coding, you won't get much knowledge in any programming languages. So I recommend everyone to have at least basic things on a hands-on coding so that you can get more into more programming or coding fundamentals. We will be explaining more about other data types like list, sets, tuples, dictionary in coming up videos. So stay tuned to my video. If you like this videos, give a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanking you.